Hello everyone and welcome back for another video. So a little disclaimer, I'm not an electrician, so don't do what I do. If you're unsure of what you're doing, get someone who is qualified. I did actually do a video not too long ago on this style of box, so I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail. Basically here you can see is marking things out. A lot of it's pencil lines. I do use the gauge, but generally it is just pencil lines. So here I'm just making the two side pieces, and this just consists of two notches either side, and this is for the bottom shelf and the top shelf. It's really simple to do. It's a really simple construction. Yeah, I'm just making the handle. Obviously this will be done on the two sides. Basically drill two holes and then just cut from one hole to the other. Really simple. I'm just using my chisel here just to create a little chamfer, just to make the handle a little bit more comfortable. So I do this all the way around and then I just finish it up with some sandpaper. So here I'm just creating the mortise. So you can see I've got a scrap piece of wood clamped in place, and once I get my line, I just swap my saws and finish the cuts. So there is actually 4 mortises in the top and the bottom boards. So once I've cut all those, I just drill a little hole and basically just chisel the waste out. I'm just lining things up here. One of the sides is actually out of square a little bit, so I just get the pencil line and then I'm able to cut it at that angle. After I'd actually cut that, I put it back in a position and I've just marked for the mortises here so I get a nice tight fit. I cut the mortises out and I start lining things up and measuring out for some of the hardware that's going to go in. Basically just drill a few holes. These are going to be for the USB ports that are going in. So I didn't actually have any hole saws or anything like that big enough to cut this. This is 50mm, so I had to do it the old fashioned way, and this is just to house a plug extension. So here I'm just rounding things over, making sure there's no sharp edges and everything's nice and smooth and rounded over to the touch. So here I'm just drilling a few holes in the side. This particular hole is to access the inverter to switch it on and off. If you notice on the bottom of the board there's actually 2 pieces of scrap ply, and these are just to stop the battery from moving around. And while the thing's apart, I'm actually just putting some of the hardware in. Obviously this is a fuse box. Then I've got the main fuse switch. I think this was like 250 amps. So that is something important. If you're doing something like this, make sure you get the right size wire and you get the right size fuses, because things can get really hot and electrical fires can start. So really make sure you size your wire and your fuses correctly. So here I'm just fixing the BMS to one of the sides. I also fixed the negative buzz bar on here as well. It seemed to work out pretty well. So the BMS itself, this is actually quite oversized for what I need, but it's what I had, so I did use it. So here you can see is actually just kind of gauging things, making sure the the wires are the right size, the right length, things like that. So now I can start putting things together. So yeah, I just get things in position, screw the solar generator on. So something to note about the solar generator, this was a super cheap solar generator and it's absolute junk. I did actually go out and end up buying a Victron, so I'd highly recommend that you get something decent. The battery cells were stuck together with some double-sided tape, and then I just went around with some technician's tape. So here I'm just putting the buzz bars on. This is obviously the buzz bars are in series, or all the batteries in series, giving us a total of 12.8 volts. So here I'm just putting the BMS leads on, obviously +1, +2, so on and so forth till everything's connected. Just making sure everything's nice and tight. I'm just adding a little bit of non-slip mats. These are absolutely great. These non-slip mats, I use them all the time for everything. Yeah, I'm just feeding one of the wires through, and this is for the Bluetooth dongle for the BMS. In hindsight, I don't think I needed to do this, but I was a little bit worried just in case I couldn't access it. I didn't really want to pull the whole thing apart every time I wanted to press the button on it, but I haven't had to do that, so I might actually move that to the inside. But I've just stuck this on with some double-sided tape. Here I start assembling the thing. I've just plugged in the positive wires to the BMS, and I'm just getting things in place. You know, I'm pretty much ready to start hooking all the wires up. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Now I just wire up the plug extension, and this is basically so I can plug things in. That little extension obviously has a wire on the back end of it, and that goes into a plug which is actually fused, and that obviously goes into the inverter. So the inverter here, how I fixed it, I just used some washers and screwed some washers in. It is actually a nice tight hold. Yeah, I'm just fixing the temperature sensor for the BMS in place. So here I'm just plugging the rest of the hardware in. This is the USB sockets. Here's the inverter, so I'm just basically fixing the inverter in place. That's the plug on the end of the wire that's attached to the extension that I made up before. This this was a bit of a faff on to try and get in here, get things lined up, and leave enough space to get my hands in and like just settle the wires into place. But I did get round to it. It was a bit of a faff on, like, but as I say, I did get into it. So when you are doing this, make sure you check the wires on, or the connections on the inverter roller. They do like to come loose, so here you can just see us tightening them up before I finally fit everything into place. So here I'm just making sure everything's working as it should. Off camera I did try some 240 volt appliances just to make sure there was no excess heat in the wires, and I was happy. So that's it guys, thanks for watching.